looking over my shoulder. So Faith will be back on Monday. But this is an exciting show. I'm really excited to bring three of my former teammates on the show. We're excited about that. We're actually going to kind of navigate. I think on Monday we talked a little bit about the COVID-19 virus and how it's impacting sports, and I thought it'd be a really good idea to get some former NFL player perspective on how this virus, how this COVID is actually impacting our world. And with the release of the NFL season, we're going to talk through that, what that's going to look like. We're going to talk through what it look like, and then we're also going to kind of deep dive into how the sport, how former NFL players navigate through their former lives, mentally and then physically, and with the injuries and stuff, and how it's impacted their lives. And then we'll talk a little bit about the transition from playing professional football. So I'm so excited about this show. I hope everybody's doing really well. You can stream our show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:03 through our home station, our broadcast station, E360 TV, where we are broadcast on all multiple platforms. You got Roku, Amazon Fire, Facebook Live, and also YouTube. So it's an exciting day. We're going to kind of call this Throwback Friday, because last week we had a wonderful guest, my former NFL player, Ed Marinero. We were talking about so many different topics. Ed has a son who is 17 years old, who's going through the recruiting process. But I am so excited. I know that they're back in the locker room, putting their tape on, and I'm going to kind of bring them on. Now, we have two of the players. Bobby Jackson is still trying. I think he's having problems. I think he pulled a muscle, warming up, so he's back in the locker room. But I'm going to bring them on. I'm going to bring on first number 29, started at right cornerback. I'm going to bring on Johnny Lynn. Johnny, how you doing, my friend?
Good, Shafe. Good. Doing
man,
bad.
Happy to have you on, man.
Be on.
Yeah, so happy to have you on. So what's going on with you?
Retired life.
Retired life, right? So I want to talk to you. I mean, you were drafted in 1979. I think we played 2 years together in the secondary. I think you played for the Jets from 1979 to 1986. But the biggest part of your professional career is a coach. From 1994 to 2017 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the San Francisco 49ers, New York Jets, New York Giants, where you were actually the defensive coordinator, finishing up with the Ravens and the Eagles. So, tell me how you doing, my friend.
Well, great. I got one more too, because I went to Denver in 2016.
Denver, okay.
Yeah.
So how many years total was that?
We're coast to coast. Only West Coast was in Oakland, San Francisco twice, in Tampa, Philly, the Giants, Baltimore on the East Coast, and then I ended up being landlocked in Denver. But it's been great. That allowed me to retire.
Awesome. Well, it's so good. We were all able to connect this past summer with the Legends Weekend, and because it was the first time I seen you since I left the Jets in 80-81. So it was just joy being able to reconnect with my teammates and my friends, and just a lifelong fraternity that is just so invaluable, especially during this time. During this time when we got to watch and check on each other. Fortunately, I haven't heard of any of our former players that we've lost yet from the virus. So that's knock on wood. That's a really good thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring my free safety, because I was a strong safety. You a left quarterback or right quarterback, Johnny?
Right
quarterback.
I played the nickel. That's when the nickel was coming in.
The nickel back, yeah. I'm going to talk a little bit about a hit that you made on a tight end one time. The final part of our show is going to be the fun part of the show. We got some really interesting topics I want to talk about, but just talking about what it was like playing with each other with the New York Jets, some of our biggest highlights. But I'm going to bring on my next teammate from the New York Jets. Now, Jesse Johnson.
Hey.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful, man. So, Jesse, you were drafted. Now, we played 1 year together. I'm looking at my notes here in 1990, but you played 4 seasons with the Jets. You played also safety. But there's one thing that we have in common, and we both spent some time with the New Jersey Generals, too. So
Yes, we do.
yeah. So what's going on with you now? Since we saw each other in August also, and so what's going on with you, my friend?
Not retired, semi-retired. Actually, doing consultant work and enjoying it. Just trying to ease on out of the workforce altogether.
Okay.
And but I'm enjoying supporting Altria's operating companies right now from a consultant perspective, getting them the proper guidance to meet their regulatory requirements for their consumable products that they make at these operating companies
Okay.
in Tennessee and Virginia and a few other locations.
So you have one of those jobs, and I can't even figure out what you do. I mean, it's one of those complex jobs, right?
Yeah, kind of complex in understanding the regs that the federal government puts out and getting them to translate those regs to meet so that they can meet them and not be uh, given a kind of a citation kind of thing when they don't meet the intent of it when an investigator from the FDA comes into one of their facilities and conducts an investigation and but it's one of those things where knowledge is power.
Right.
It truly is. And understanding the processes of getting people to engage and focus. That you talk about family, faith, faith, and focus. Focus is so incredibly important. And this is one of those things where when I go into the facilities, I kind of demand it. I demand it from the vice president all the way down to whoever's impacted in their hourly rates, just because you don't have time to keep recycling. It's that mental capacity, that thing that you learned early on, that if you have mental mistakes, you're not going to be around long.
Right. we learned that on the field, right?
Absolutely.
on a cover two, right? We learned that on the field. Of course, obviously, Johnny being a coach for many years, you know how important it is. But let's kind of dive into our first topic. Let's talk about what's going on today with this pandemic. And I know both of you are out on the East Coast. I think Johnny, you are in the Carolinas, right?
North Carolina,
and then Jesse, you are in. And Jesse, you're in Virginia, right? So what's going on? What's going on that your part of the country with this? I'll start out with you, Johnny.
Well, down here we're still kind of in the conservative mode of things, which I like. Not many things are open, and I understand that, and I'm loving it. I mean, being in my situation, being retired, is different than somebody that was working 9 to 5 and things like that. But I think if someone goes out and they're affected somebody else, now you're dealing with somebody else's lives. If you know that person ends up dying, and it's all because you went out and you weren't supposed to and doing the things you did. I mean, if you knew that personally, you'd be upset about it. And so I have a brother that's compromised and stuff like that lives with us and things like that. So he hasn't been out of the house since I think the first week of February. He was locked down, and we're locked down because we just want to take care of him, make sure he's in great shape. Also ourselves, we're in that age level that you need to watch out.
Right. So, no, you guys, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so it's not impacting me as much now. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. It's not impacting me either because I'm chilling at home. Doing work, doing things that that I love to do. I'm doing things, building things and stuff like that, and so I'm having a ball.
Right. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, we're a lot like Johnny is. They're actually going through a phase 1 opening of some of the parts of Virginia, the Richmond area, the Richmond city. The mayor asked for a 2-week delay because he didn't feel they were ready. And I'm with Johnny. I'm all more conservative opening the better because of the impact that Johnny made a really critical statement here. He said It's the impact you can do to others that you're unaware of. And after we've got close to, I guess, 85,000, 86,000 deaths here, if the person that spread the virus to the person that died could know it, that would impact this nation more greatly. Because then there would be a direct connection to some loss from somebody else that you cavalierishly or accidentally passed them the virus and it took their lives. So you can't rush back.
Yeah, but so knowing that, okay, you know, the NFL just released the schedule. And you know, we all obviously probably the first thing that went in our mind is, what is this going to look like? You know, how do you see this working, Johnny? How do you see this working? You think that the league is going to open up on time, and if it does, what do you think that's going to look like?
Well, I would hope they would. Right now, as far as players are concerned, they're in meetings and stuff like that, similar to what we're doing, and just trying to learn the playbook and things like that. Then it's a matter of them working out. I mean, they probably have their workout people going through some of the same thing, but you know, hey, you gotta get out there on the field and run around and get in shape. Things like that. And then you have to be concerned. Once everybody comes together, I mean, that's a big issue to me. It's kind of like when you're in the locker room, something like that, and somebody has a nurse's situation. You know, isolated stuff like that. But now, I mean, this is something that you can just breathe on somebody and you have a situation. So I'm not sure how that's going to look, but I hope they push it off as long as possible, because it's just everybody coming together. That's an issue.
Yeah. It's very fluid. I mean, weekly. So, you know, Wisconsin just opened up, right? So geographically, Wisconsin just opened up. People, obviously, with the economy the way it is, and people being impatient, the weather's getting nice. You know, because I'm looking at it at a couple different levels. You know, so Devin is actually preparing to go to college at Yale, and he's getting information. We are getting, as parents, we're getting information on, you know, the possibility of when different phases when the school is going to open up and how it's going to impact the season. But right now, we're immobilized. We're immobilized across all sports, right? And I'm just curious to see how this is going to unfold. You know, it's not like we're going to have a season, right? What's it going to look like? How? I mean, is everybody going to wear masks, right? What is that going to look like?
Well, I was reading. I had a thing. I was reading. There's one lady that affected a whole choir. And, you know, they're saying how many people were affected in that. And then I don't think they had any deaths from that, which is outstanding, but they're sitting right next to each other. So what is the huddle like? What is the classroom like and things like that? I mean, I think in Taiwan or something like that, they had people going to school, but they were in like little cubicles themselves. It was plastic all around. They had the teacher was in one, and, you know, they were taking care of it. They check you coming in, they check you going out. And I see they were prepared. We were not prepared for this.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that has to happen, and there's been a lot of conversation around it, is, you know, my first role when I went with Altria, I was supposed to be a marketing person, but I didn't want to do that. So they gave me another role. It was a senior statistical process control specialist. That's a big mouth word full of that, and essentially is a guy who gets you the right data to give you the information you need to make good decisions. Testing data is the only thing that we have today that can give us a better picture of the possibility and the potential of what's going to happen with this virus when you put those men together in locker room situations, in huddle on the field together. And unless they have a very formidable testing, very rigorous, and they can use the data to get them to analyze it appropriately, I wouldn't be, as a player, I would be, knowing what I know, I would be very apprehensive about coming in.
Right. That's it. It's almost like some of the people going back to work. But let's change gears a little bit, because Bo is properly taped and he's ready to come on the field. Let's see if he's where he is. Where he is? I don't see his visibility. There he is. He's still trying to get on. So let's wait for him to come out of the field. That left quarterback position was always a challenging position, right?
Oh yeah,
It is.
right-handed quarterbacks. That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
Right. So when he comes on, I'm gonna change gears and bring him on. But you can see him up there. But this is crazy. The economy, the impact it's having on the league. How do you see owners responding to this? What is their thought process?
They're like any other business person.
Yeah.
They want to profit, and profit is have the widest profit margin they can. And you don't know the soul of a man unless you spend time with him when he's in a critical situations. And none of us have been able to do that with a business owner, people that are in that upper 1% of the 1%. And I do know from dealing with people that were compensated extremely well in the private sector. Unfortunately, and it's just reality, they think different. And it's not bad, good, or otherwise most of the time. It's the way they think.
Okay, time out. So we see you, Bobby. Can you hear us? He's still frozen.
He laid back. He laid on the training table.
You laid on the training table?
Yeah.
Bob Reese got him typed up, and Pepper got him taped up.
Who taped the ankles too tight? Did Pepper or did Bobby Reese tape the ankles too tight?
Hey, I was a Pepper guy. You pick that person. Pepper did me right. He was a fixer guy. I had a lot of problems.
Oh, can you hear us?
Sorry.
Hey, it's back in the day, people, the technology, Johnny, you probably can relate to this. The technology, watching game film with the old 16 millimeter film. So
and
then, do it now, right?
I can tape and splice with the best of them. Or let it roll on the floor, just let it go.
Right. Well, let's kind of change gears a little bit. I think it's a wait and see thing, right? It's kind of wait and see.
Yes, no doubt.
It's a wait and see, and we got to figure out. I think taking care of what we need to take care of here at home. So Devin and I are here isolating, and he's getting ready to work out, and my daughter's in a safe place too. She's working virtually, so it's wait and see. Let's talk a little bit about another topic. We're all older. I don't know the impact that the game has had on you physically. I know for me, I really, really struggled. I had a car accident that really threw me back. I ended up having a shattered femur and 2 hip replacements, and I've had 5 knee surgeries. As you well know, I also played basketball, but anything with my neural, I don't know if you guys did the concussion baseline test, but I had my family later, so they kind of saw the residue of what a lifelong playing in the NFL, playing sports, and how it kind of impacted me physically. I don't think because I was so spiritually based, I don't think it impacted me, as being a dad. I think I had a family at the right time in my life. But maybe Johnny, tell me a little bit about how you survived, and did playing in the NFL, coaching in the NFL, have any kind of impact on you and your family, your kids, physically or mentally?
Well, number one thing is it's just a blessing. I got drafted 4B. Jesse was drafted the next year right after me at the same time, and stuff like that. It's a blessing to be in the situation to play and things like that, something that you enjoy. It's kind of like it starts off that, hey, I'll do this for free. But obviously it changes once you get to that business aspect. You get drafted, you go to a team that, you don't have a choice to go to and stuff like that. We all played into that situation because there was no free agency really at that time. And then now things have progressed. I'm laughing at the time. I was just thinking about when me and Jesse, we were doing during the strike year, me and Jesse was doing, or we were glazers. Yeah, man, we was up there putting windows in and stuff like that. That hotel that was right next to Nassau Coliseum right there, we put the windows in that. We were all over Long Island just trying to work during the strike time because, we didn't make the money that people are making now. And so it's a different situation. But we've grown. My body's, let's say, from my neck to the left side, not in good shape at all. My brain is not there, but I've had about a total of 10 surgeries. And I had 9 surgeries, and I have to get one more. So I've had 2 on my neck, for one more for my neck, and then I have a shoulder. I have 3 times in the left knee. So that side is done. The right side's in great shape. So, hey, I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah.
But, every day is painful. That's all, just live with pain.
Right. I mean, you learn to function in dysfunctional pain, right?
Absolutely.
It's just amazing how much we are able to endure it. I'm going through a program right now, GH Fit Lab, where they're isolating my muscles, full contraction exercises. And it's been a miracle where I'm able to rejuvenate and heal each muscle individually.
Yeah.
And because what happens, that atrophy sets in, you lose that muscle mass. And, you're in so much pain that you don't want to work out, right?
Yeah.
But with this program, I'm able to, one muscle at a time, bring it back to life and then continue to rejuvenate. So thank God with new technology, there's things that we can do as older former NFL players that continue to have quality of life, Yeah. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I'm in relatively great condition, to be honest with you. I've got a T7 disc that was compressed from playing ball. That's the only thing that gives me problems, but it doesn't give me enough problems that I have to worry about it having surgery, having a procedure to correct it. I've got on my right side an AC and SC joints that sit forward about a quarter of an inch, and it hurts to sleep at night on it if I get it on the wrong way or try to stretch out. But I stay active. I do a lot of push-ups and work like that, not putting a lot of heavy muscle, a weight strain on it, but stuff that I can do around my house and keep me from letting that muscle atrophy sit in, like you said, Shafer. And because if it does, they're going to have to go in and do surgery. And I don't want them having to do it anytime soon or at all, actually. I just don't feel like it's necessary. And the pain is tolerable. Like Johnny said, you learn how to function with a certain amount of pain.
That's the normal.
You understand you bargained for that in your later life. You didn't understand it as a young man playing ball. You didn't, but now you do know what the bargain was and the cost is for each individual. And for me, I've been blessed. I did do the baseline for the concussion protocol, and the doctor that performs them in this area had performed 100, and he said I was only one of 2 people that he could say I did not have to worry about a thing.
Well, so have you ever hit anybody when you were playing football?
Yeah.
What's
that? Wait a minute. Bo, are you there? Bo.
I'm back.
Oh my goodness.
You came back in.
Wait, what was
Man.
Were you taping your ankles? Bob?
No.
Right?
I was in update hell, man. My phone started updating on its own. So I had to get off my phone and I put it on my laptop. I'm on the laptop now.
Awesome. How you doing, my friend? So Bo, let me back up a little bit. Okay, this is kind of neat because we can kind of change. Like I know you've been listening a little bit. Got to change gears, but tell me what's going on with you right now, my friend. Well, let me give it an intro first here. So Bobby, I would say officially was my first little brother. Right? We bonded. Bobby played quarterback in the 6th round draft pick out of Florida State. I had the honor to play with him for 3 years. I think you're tied for 6th all time in just interceptions and 3 fumbles, 3 touchdowns. The one touchdown that I remember against Miami, man, that was sweet. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But man, you to be able to reconnect with you guys, after how many years has been just a wonderful thing. But one of the proudest moments that I've been able to share with Bobby is Bobby actually went back to Florida State, got his degree. He got his degree in diploma. It was a promise he made to his mom, and I tell you, it brings tears to my eyes. But talking about a proud brother, man. And you know, Bobby also has a book straight out of CME, and it's listed on Amazon.com. But Bobby, you know, that of all the accomplishments, there it is. Of all the accomplishments, and you know, a lot of the former players have gone on to do some wonderful things. You going back and getting your degree, to a promise to your mom, has been just heartwarming. So, why don't you want to share a little bit about that really quickly?
Like I said, Shape, it brings tears in my eyes thinking about it, man, because some of my former teammates came back. Leon Bright, who played with the Giants, Bobby Butler, who was my backup at Florida State, came. Earl Humes, who was not a pro player, but he was the first corner that I played opposite when I was a true freshman. He was a senior, starting opposite me, and got hurt the very first game against the University of Pittsburgh. He did, and Lee Nelson, who's the only white cornerback that we had, started, and Lee's a beast. He played for the Cardinals for about, I think, 12 or 13 years. So, but just getting back to that day, man, it was just a combination, all the work that I put in, and I was, first of all, I held myself accountable because I spoke it and I told somebody that I was gonna do it. So now I couldn't go back on it. So I did that on purpose, bro. I didn't want to keep it a secret. I say I'm going back and get my degree. And then now that I put that energy out there, I had to do it. So, but it was 42 years later.
But it's done.
Since I left Florida State, that I went back, walked across that stage, shook the dean's hand, and got my degree with my friends in the audience. My daughter was there. One of my son, Ashawn, he goes everywhere I go. Right. But it was just, I can't describe. I still don't believe I did it, bro. It haven't even been a year yet. But the thing is that I was thinking, just like playing in the secondary, if I don't do my job, I let the whole secondary down. Right. So I felt I owed you guys, you know, the promise that I said I was going to do. I kept seeing your faces and what y'all would think of me and blah, blah, you know, and that's why I was saying, how are they going to, when the news came that okay, congratulations, I was like, wow. And once that I could share that with you guys, it was just worth the 3.5 years after 42 years later. I
remember calling you, man. We talked often. Go, hey, I gotta go study, man. I gotta go study. Yeah. You know, I was thinking, my God, I cannot even imagine trying to go back and get my degree after those many years. But I'm so proud of you, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
So I want to bring you up to speed a little bit. You know, we talked a little bit about the pandemic. What's going on? So you're actually in New York,
right?
Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little about what's going on in New York with this pandemic and how you are holding up.
Well, they beating the hell out of black folks up here, man. You ain't social distancing and all that. They are beating your butt. Yeah. And but out here, I just felt like when people say, "Man, New York is the hotbed," and I was like, "Well, I don't feel that because I was secluded with my family. We had a house. By the way, we had a house fire in July, so we've been out of our house since then. So we were living in hotels, and then we moved to an apartment. Now we're back in our home. So it was kind of crazy, you know. The hotel was feeding us every day, and so forth. And then all of a sudden, you can't go in the cafeteria. It was just crazy. But right now, you know, I'm a park director at one of the major parks here in Freeport area. And I'm basically a babysitter of the park, man. Few people come out and work out, walk around, but all our facilities are closed. Mm-hmm. And but the thing is, it seems like in New York, they think the pandemic's over, and some people aren't wearing a mask anymore. Some people haven't stopped. They've been partying, and it's crazy. I'm still going to social distance, but Cuomo has done a great job informing everybody about what's going on here. And I feel comfortable that he has the right strategy. Unlike the guy who sits in the Oval Office, he don't really care. But the bottom line, this whole pandemic it's taught me to go back to things that I've done as a kid, man. Like going back to growing our own food. My wife have a garden anyway, but it's just putting me back in touch with the things that I thought was old fashioned is still pertinent right now.
Okay.
It made me think about what's dear to me, what's important to me. And the most important thing, obviously, is my health and well-being, so I can be able to do things for my family. So that's what this. When I started to read the Bible from the beginning to the end. I tried it before and failed. Well, I'm gonna finish it this time, and I have questions. But that's the thing. I'm just going on a new journey to reinvent myself, to be worthy of this life that I have, and because my life's not over because we're not playing ball, guys. It's just the start of another chapter for us.
Right.
And I feel that we're all great parents to our kids. Shafer, you've done a change the subject, tremendous job with your family, man. I mean, Faith, I followed her, and obviously Devin. Matter of fact, he's up here, so I'll be going to see him as soon as I can travel up to Yale because it's right up the road. And I also have a guy who I mentored, who graduated from Yale this year. He's a football player from up in Canada, Toronto, Canada, but he's from Africa. He's originally from Africa, his family. So anyway, he just graduated 2020.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So as I'm listening to you, I get a little emotional because it takes us back to those years, where we're on the field together. We've all transitioned into the real world. We've had families. I remember going back to the Legends Weekend and bringing Devin, because what that did for him, it kind of brought my life full circle because he got a chance to talk to each one of you individually. Yeah. And, the stories that he heard about his dad, he would hear them from other guys, right? Mm-hmm. It kind of warms my heart that we're able to kind of reconnect and be able to kind of share our journeys, because we all have different paths after playing professional football. We all have to your point, Bo, we have to redefine our lives. Mm-hmm. And, we all have families. And this, I wouldn't say the final chapter of our life. I would say this is just halftime for me, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So, Bo, what do you think about the NFL opening up?
Well, to be honest, man, the only thing I'm thinking about is they're gonna pay us our new pension money on time. That's what I'm thinking about. Be honest with you, bro. I don't really care about any of that other stuff. I want to know if our check's gonna show up in October. I think is when we supposed. Right. Are we gonna get paid? Right. And that's the first and foremost. But in terms of any other thing, I'm just really not how the format they're gonna play, playing without fans, whatever, man. Or I don't really know how they're gonna do it, but I'm not really anticipating following football. I don't follow it as much anymore. I do watch, yes, obviously, but I'm not a fanatic like I used to be. It was football or nothing else. I just want to know if that extra money gonna be in my account in October. And if it is, then I'll be happy.
Let's touch on that a little bit, because I really want to spend some time at the end of the show just talking about what it was like. Let's take us back to 1976 to 19 whatever you guys. I started in 76. And, I got my obviously older statement here, but and by the way, I did talk to Burgess yesterday, and we talked about football only. So good. And he's doing well. He has 15 grandchildren, right?
Yeah, wow. 15.
Because he is running for the White House. So as a politician, so I love him like a brother. But at the end of the day, we all have our own path. But let's talk a little bit about that collective bargaining agreement. So Johnny, from your perspective, playing in the league, but also playing a coach. And I don't know, how many years did you get vested, Johnny?
8.
8?
Yeah.
How many did you have?
Don't they count some of your coaching years also?
No, that's different. Yeah. Oh. So I got a total of 29 years in the league.
Wow.
Right.
but 8
What's
playing.
your jersey number, man? That's just
That's right.
You wait.
Thank you, Shay.
Big room in the
No, hey,
background,
wait a
man.
minute. Thank you, Shay, because I used to wear 23 in college.
Right there, man.
And so I wore 23 in college, and Shay has it, so I can't get it. So they gave me 29, so I'm good. Hey, I ain't arguing over no number. That ain't got nothing to do with it. That's it. I'm just glad to be here.
yeah.
Well, I tell you, from and a lot of people don't understand, once we stop playing, our healthcare stops, right?
Yes.
Fortunately, a lot of us was able to transcend into corporate America, with my wife Sue. She had government insurance, but I mean, it was, it was challenging, So the league is, I think, making progress. I mean, there's obviously benefits that we have today through the trusts and through the NFL former players that we have today that we didn't have. But this pension is the beginning of a start of trying to make us whole, right? John, Jesse, what's your take on that?
That's I have two positions on that. That one, that the healthcare should not stop when we stop playing ball. Even if you have an option to buy into it at a very, very low cost, because that transition point that ball players make from pro ball, leaving the field to going into the private sector, finding themselves, not all of them are, probably very few of them are successful right away. And success meaning being able to transition and have those same kind of benefits, the health package that we had with the NFL, knowing that you're going to be okay with some of the critical things in life. As far as the pension is concerned, I blame it I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. Our player leadership years ago didn't have the foresight that we currently have. I think some of us probably had it back then as well, to bite the bullet and get the kind of packages that you see in other pro sports, baseball, basketball, so that veterans would be taken care of, because we still have too many vets who, hey, nobody comes out of college prepared for a life in the NFL. You come out of college, most of us are kids that come from low-income families at best. You're thrown into the 48% tax bracket. You didn't have any preparation in college about the business aspect of it. So we were at a point where there were more of us that were initially going to transition hard and difficult than the kids today.
Right.
Aside from the amount of money that they're making, the compensation that they're getting paid is there's no way they should be failing. But
it is so different. It is so different.
Yeah, but I don't like the idea to see ball players struggling that were of my era, our era. I know I was very fortunate, and I was recruited by Altria, got into a company that was making an astounding amount of money and paying people a very good money. And I was making more than I was playing ball when I went to Altria. That kind of picture that, and that doesn't happen with most of us, our brethren. Right. And I really wished that they would take a step back at these collective bargaining agreements and say, hey, we're going to plug in a package for these vets so we don't have to piecemeal and give them bits and pieces, because unfortunately time doesn't wait for nobody. Right. We're all going to be gone. And this league has made a lot of money off of our backs, our injuries, our necks, our shoulders, our knees, our hips, our feet. I mean, we gave, when the love for the game was greater than the compensation for the game.
Right, without a doubt. I mean, we played at a time where, I remember, I think the first Legends weekend that I attended, Darrell Revis was there. He got a chance to talk to me and Devin. And I told him how we got paid, that they would put our checks out on the table. And one guy would take the checks and take it to the Hempstead Bank and cash them and bring them back. And he was just blown away because he was making $20 million a year, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, we all played around that time. When you finally got it to six figures, that was a big deal. That was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And
I remember.
So
I remember when Daryl Ray and I came in, right after Johnny did. We were the highest paid DBs on that squad.
Don't remind me.
I
found it unimaginable.
Right? You guys were sharing up, but still, no one was in six figures yet. I don't think.
No. Nobody.
I think we have to understand that time period, that fight that's why we went on strike.
Right.
Because there was no minimum salaries. I mean, both of us made all of us probably, well, Jesse, you weren't because you came back and you were making more than us, but I think we all started somewhere in the 20s or something like that. Yeah. And but it was a different thing because I worked in the off season. I didn't make enough to go through the year and things like that. So it was different. That was the fight that we had. Now I think just with the health things for the players have another 5 years of insurance for their selves and family for after they finish playing. If they're invested in stuff like that, they got 5 more years. Okay, they got some other things that they built off of what we had. But the main thing was, number one thing, we didn't have free agency. We didn't get that until after Freeman had the lawsuit to win the free agency. And that's after we were out of the league. Okay, but we couldn't go any places and try and bring your price up. We're the lowest paid and had the hardest job to do. Now it is better. So now they can fight for different things. I mean, I like the bump that we're going to get for our players' pension and stuff like that because it's not enough what they pay us. But hey, I love the bump, and I want there's other guys that need to be grabbed too. The guys are pre-79 and stuff like that. That was a big issue when we came through the strike. Is those guys? We had to help those guys and just bring them up to a level that is substantial.
Right. It's very, very difficult. It's kind of hard to watch the behavior of some of these guys. Now, we had our, but just not having a level of respect for the game, for the guys who paved the way, right? Who actually paved the way, especially African American football players who actually paved the way. I mean, just and I wish that today's players, you have a few of them that are doing a wonderful job of embracing a level of respect for the game. Because again, we're making 20. I think I was 30, 35, 40. I couldn't wait to get my 1976 Grand Prix with the honeycomb wheels, man.
Dude, Bojack helped me.
Well,
when Bojack signed again, I said, hey, I want to just make some what he's making. And that's what helped me. I mean, Bojack.
Well, check this out. No disrespect to our brother 48 who took Shafer's place once they separated him from us. Kenny Stroy. I love Kenny like a brother. We had some disagreements on the field in terms of his acumen. But I remember when I got signed that new contract, Johnny. First of all, I came to minicamp and then I left. I practiced one day and then I left. I said, man, I ain't doing this. I'm leaving. Right. And they finally, Roy and them brought me in, not Roy, Kinsel, them brought me in, and Roy, and gave me my, after I disappeared and gave me my new contract, and he hit me on my back so hard, it was really like,
a punch.
Oh, yeah. And so, but then I found right after that, they called in number 48 and gave him a raise because I got a raise. He didn't even ask for it. And I'm like, not now. I don't count nobody else's money, but I'm saying, why was that necessary? Why did I have to go through all of that to get what I deserve, what I thought I deserved?
Right.
And yet they'll bring somebody else in and give them a raise automatic to bring them up to somewhat what I was making. I was like, so I understand the game. You know, I don't like to count anybody else's money. That's not what I was doing. I see how politics works, and it's still alive and well, man. You know, in this world. But once again, I enjoyed my matter of fact, when I found out y'all were making more money than me, I wasn't mad at y'all.
No.
I want y'all to give me some of that money, man. That's why I had you. That's why I had you to come stay with me for a while, so I can get some of that money back from you.
Hey, that's one thing about a team.
They took
That's
over
one thing about a team, I think.
With the band, right?
Well, the thing that I thought we had special in the ghetto, which we called it, was that everybody knew what everybody made.
Right.
Yep.
We all talked about it and stuff like that, so we could help each other out to get better. And that was taboo at that time. Do that.
Right.
And so,
That's right. Johnny brings it up. A good point. They were telling us you can't share this salary information with any teammates. We blew that crap out the water. We said, no.
Well, Wesley was the first person. When I saw one of Wesley's weekly checks, and I saw mine, I started crying, man. And I was like, I got to cover this guy every day in practice, and I think I'm doing a decent job, and he making this much more money than me.
Right.
Wow.
Hey guys, let's kind of change gears. You know, I want to spend the final portion of our show just talking about us. And what was it like? What was your favorite memories when we were all together? I mean, Bo, what was your highlight? What was your favorite memory other than scoring your touchdowns that we could all connect with?
Well, obviously, you know that when you talking about personal stuff, real quick, that Minnesota game couldn't. That's the highlight of my career in terms of what I did in that game because of what happened the game before, when I missed the interception that would have made us #1 in the East. We would have been champions, and so I practiced all week with that mindset. I had to make it up. But going back to it, it's a lot of memories, man. But the one I remember the most was on a Monday night when we played the Vikings at home. I think it was the first Jets Monday night game in a while, or maybe whatever. And you scored the winning touchdown, interception for a touchdown, and I met you in the end zone. It was like, wow, man. First of all, I was like, man, we on prime time. Everybody's here. I know they watching it. But I'm so happy for you. The way you picked that bad boy up. I don't know who it was intended for. Marv Rashad
and Chuck Foreman.
Yeah. And you picked that bad boy off and went in, man. I was just happy like I scored, man. Johnny Lynn intercepting the pass. Wait a minute. Let me think back on my memory. No, that wasn't Johnny. It was Jerry intercepted the pass down in San Francisco to win the game for us off of what's called. And then I remember Johnny had scored a touchdown off an interception, and he slammed the ball, and I ran it down and got it.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And just I tell you, just to sum it up, the playing with you guys, Jesse. I mean, Jesse was a freak, man. Jesse used to beat me up like Tommy Hearns, man. Me and him used to box in the room. And he would throw that long reach. He used to tell me, "Take this with you, throw that long jab." but yeah, man. Just overall, just the bond. I thought we were the tightest group on the team. We did everything together. I enjoyed everything. Maurice Tyler was like my first mentor. Then he left, and then obviously Shafer and Burgess took over, and I followed these guys until they sent Burgess to L.A. and then where did you go, Shafer?
Cincinnati.
So now, guess what? I'm the elder statesman in the secondary now. So it just changed. But I just enjoyed the eternal friendship that I had with you guys is worth any of the touchdowns or hits or fumbles or anything that I've occurred in my life, man. Just staying in touch with you.
You hit somebody so hard, and it was a running back. You remember that running back you hit?
That was I think it was a Colts game, bro.
Yeah.
No. Talking about Bo Matthews.
Oh my God.
I knocked him out in preseason.
Man, you hit that boy so hard, man. I went over. His eyes were up in the back of his forehead. Right? Oh my God, that was one of the hardest hit. How about Johnny? How about you? Because Johnny, I remember you doubled back on the tight end one time. I think you were tight end coming across the middle, and you came in and knocked him out. And so, tell me some about your favorite moments, other than.
I think just the fellowship that we had when, you know, in the ghetto, we would always bring our food in and stuff like that. And then Cubby would try and come in and get it. And we'd all stick up and fight and stuff like that.
His big behind out.
But those are the good things that we cherish and stuff like that. On the football field, Shafer hit you're talking about, that was, I think it was against the Colts. And it was a tight end coming across. And I kind of doubled back. Yeah, he was a Trojan. So I had
UCLA Trojan, I get it.
Yeah, so it went long. You know, we know each other. It went long. So that's how that was. The best times is like when we did something, you know, we all celebrated it together with a little high five, French fry.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good, you know. And hey, we earned what we got.
We earned our stripes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Johnny that the most memorable thing is the camaraderie that the defensive backs had. We really stuck together in ways that people don't even talk about today. They can't even do it today. I mean, we just celebrated anything anybody did back there, or anytime somebody got in a situation where somebody was trying to push them around a little bit. We were like bees. We swarmed too. We didn't care what the flags were going to fly. We didn't care what Walt Michaels was going to call us when we got to the sideline. We just got in, and that ain't going to happen. Not with us. We got too many of us, and we're all willing to take a few punches to make a point.
Right.
That's a bond that you can't describe, but it stays with you. And I made a statement when we were at the Legends thing that every one of you guys are like truly brothers to me. That's what and it stays with me. Every time I think about one of you guys, I'll think about something we did, just get a smile, warms my soul. One of the other things as far as playing was I had 2 solo tackles on Earl Campbell. And the first one, I didn't want to. You know, that first time he was coming around that corner, I said, damn, but you got to do your job. You got to do it.
34-inch thighs, right? 34-inch thighs.
Yeah.
And rumbling like a bullet. Yeah. And a low point I had was that when we played Seattle out there in the Kingdome, I had a banged up knee, and they called some coverage where I was manned up with Steve Largent, and I knew I could force him to go out. I knew which route I wanted him to go, but I moved up too late, and they snapped the ball. I pushed off on that bad knee. It didn't react. I got beat, and I was so damn pissed with myself, because I thought I let the team down. That was why. And I knew better. I knew if I would have just stayed off of him, he was going to run a quick out. Mm-hmm. And I could have came up and stopped him, and they'd had to punt the ball. But I wanted him to run a fade route because I knew he couldn't outrun me.
Right. He was one of the toughest receivers to cover.
Absolutely.
One of the best receivers to cover. He reminded me of, you guys were not in the league with Bolitnikov. I mean, just not very fast. Very smart route runner.
Very technical.
So we don't have that much time, but then we'll go around the table. Who was the nastiest receiver you guys played against?
Nasty.
I almost
that number 80 for the coach spitting in Darryl Ray's
Yeah, Ray Butler.
Yeah, that's
Ray
it.
Butler. That's the one that That's the one that we had to get on. We had to take 2 flags for his ass.
Did you take care of it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He was nasty.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Remember James Lofton with the Packers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We handled
I
James.
remember you busting his lip
Yeah.
when he tried to crack back on you, and that was it for him. I think he caught 2 passes that day. That was it. Short ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sicked me on him. He's doing that back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I said, yeah. You played like you ain't see him to the last minute. Bam. I loved it. I loved it. I ain't have no problem with him the rest of the day.
Oh my God. Hey guys, I love you guys. You know, I'm so happy that we were able to connect. And you know, if you ever want to come on the show, you have a cause, anything that you want to promote or talk about. I mean, I have this show 3 days a week. We are live on E360 TV. Of course, it's live stream on Amazon Fire, Facebook, Facebook Live, Roku, and but Bo, if you want to come on the show and actually talk about your book, I would love to have you on it. But I really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing, giving us some insight on your world, our world, and I just want to bless you. And you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you really soon. Okay.
All right, bro. Looking forward to seeing you up. Looking forward to seeing you up this way.
Okay. What a fun show. Thank you so much. We'll be back on Monday with a live version of my co-host, our beautiful co-host, Faith. Again, we are, we're F3, so she normally does this. And we use our faith as a vehicle to heal, sustain others on their path and strengthen the family. We're Facebook Live. Love you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.